Conditions for floating. These are the things that should be required to be done for the object to float. Hivi ni vitu ambavyo vinahitajika ili kitu kiweze kubaki kinaelea kwenye liquids au kibaki kinaelea kwenye maji. Kwa mfano, meli inaelea kwa sababu ya reasons hizi tatu. Lakini kitu chochote kinachoelea kwa sababu ya reasons hizi tatu. Because these are the conditions in which, if now you are just talking about the floating object, must meet these three conditions, at least these three conditions for an object to float. And that is why we say the following are some of the conditions to be satisfied before a body can float. Before a body can float, must have the following things. One, the object submerged volume must be large enough so as to displace a lot of fluids. Means what? You should have the volume that is just deep inside the water should be large enough so as to displace a lot of water. Kwa kiwango au ukubwa wa kile kitu ambacho kina float, lazima iwepo na sehemu kubwa ambayo inaingia kwenye maji, kiasi kwamba sasa hii sehemu inawezesha kusukuma kiwango kikubwa cha maji. Na inapowezesha kusukuma kiwango kikubwa cha maji, tunarudi kwenye Archimedes principle kwamba upthrust is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced, ili kuweza sasa kutengeneza upthrust, equality ya upthrust pamoja na weight of the displaced water. Kwa maana the first point is that the object is submerged volume must be large enough so as to displace a lot of water. And the second condition is that the density of the body must be less than the density of the surrounding fluids. If now we are just talking about water, the density of water, surrounding water, should be equal or should be greater than the density of a floating body. Maana yake kitu kinachoelea lazima density yake iwe ndogo kulinganisha na density. Kwa mfano, if now we are just talking about water, the density of water is always 1 gram per centimeter cubic or 1000 kg per meter cubic. This is what we have. Kwa maana kama tuna 1000 kg per meter cubic au tuna 1 gram per centimeter cubic, kwa maana hiyo kama tuna design an object, lazima meet condition kwamba density of water is 1 gram per centimeter cubic or 1000 kg per meter cubic. Kwa maana hiyo kile tunachokidesign density yake lazima iwe ndogo ukilinganisha na density ya surrounding fluids. That is why we say the second fact is that the density of the body must be less than the density of the surrounding fluid. And the third condition is that the upthrust due to the liquid must be equal to the total weight of the object. That is the upthrust due to the liquid. Remember, an upthrust is the upward force that is exerted to the floating body or the body that is trying to get into that liquid. There is an opposing force that is saying no to get into the liquid. But if it is happened that this upthrust is smaller than the weight of the body, means that the body cannot exist on the surface of the water, but instead will get into the water that is sinking. Therefore, these are the three conditions in which now for the floating body must meet it. That is why we say conditions for the floating body. For the floating body, the following are some of the conditions to be satisfied before a body can float. One, the object submerged volume must be large enough so as to displace a lot of water. Means the submerged volume of an object should be greater enough so as to displace a lot of water. This will obey Archimedes principle, which states that the amount of those words, but what is important is that the weight of the liquid displaced must be equal to the upthrust that is produced by that liquid. And the second factor or the second condition that should be met when an object wants to float is that the density of the body must be less than the density of the surrounding fluid. Means you must consider two things: the density of the fluids and the density of the floating body. If it happens that the density of an object is greater than the density of the liquid, that object cannot float. But if it happens that the density of the object is less than the density of the surrounding liquid, that object can float. And second and thirdly is what we are having, that the upthrust due to the liquid must be equal to the total weight of the object. It means that at first should be equal to the total weight of the object. Or it must happen that at first is greater than the weight of the floating body. If it happened that the weight of the floating body is greater than an uplastic, that body cannot float. So in conclusion, we say these are the three conditions which are necessary for the floating body or for the object to float. In absence of these three conditions, an object cannot float. That is all about the conditions for